The Labor government loves to talk about transparency. They promise openness, integrity and accountability. But with this Freedom of Information Amendment Bill 2025, they have done the opposite. This bill is not about freedom of information. It is about freedom from scrutiny. It weakens the public's right to know, entrenches secrecy and reduces accountability of the federal government. It is the most significant rollback of transparency laws in over 40 years. Labor tells us this bill will modernise the Freedom of Information framework and improve efficiency. But when you look closely, very closely, it becomes clear. What they really mean is make it easier to say no. Make it easier to encourage dysfunction and to encourage and reward incompetence. So let's look at what the bill actually does. Schedule 1. Schedule 1 rewrites the objects of the Act to prioritise the proper functioning of government over the public's right to access information. Schedule 2, well, it bans anonymous requests, ending protections for whistleblowers, advocates and citizens who fear reprisal. Schedule 3 introduces a discretionary 40-hour processing cap, allowing agencies to stop searching once a request just gets that little bit too difficult. Schedule 4 extends decision timeframes from 30 calendar days to 30 working days, delaying responses. Schedule 5, well, it changes the Information Commissioner's review processes in a way that limit third-party participation. Schedule 6 creates application fees for freedom of information requests and reviews, effectively a truth tax on citizens seeking information. Schedule 7 expands cabinet and deliberative processes, exemptions, making it easier to refuse requests without even searching for one document. Schedule 8 allows a different minister or agency to respond if a minister leaves office. So this bill moves freedom of information from a presumption of openness to a presumption of control. I'll say that again. It moves from a presumption of openness to a presumption of control. So much for transparency. Australians will only see the final announcements, never the debates, never the advice or the disagreements that led to those decisions. The Coalition opposes this bill because it undermines transparency, accountability and trust in government. This bill was introduced without consultation, rushed into the parliament, despite the findings of the 2023 Senate FOI inquiry, which made it clear that the real problems are under-resourcing, delays and cultural resistance within agencies. Well, Labor's clearly ignored those findings. Instead of fixing the system, they're breaking it even further. It takes a lot of talent, Madam Deputy Speaker. Instead of fixing it, they're breaking it even further. So, let's be honest, this is not a reform born out of necessity. It is a reaction to scrutiny, a desire for less scrutiny. I can't believe I'm saying those words. I just cannot believe it. It's a reaction to scrutiny, a desire for less scrutiny. By banning anonymity, Labor silences whistleblowers and vulnerable applicants. By imposing the fees, they make transparency a privilege only for those who can afford it. By expanding exemptions, they ensure that the most politically sensitive information will stay hidden. Every major integrity body, transparency advocate, media organisation has condemned this bill, and so they should. Not one of them supports it. The only supporters, of course, are the bureaucrats, who would rather not be questioned. So they're cheering from the sidelines. This is not just poor policy, it is procedural abuse. And yet, here we are, being forced to consider it before the Senate Legal and Constitutional Affairs Committee has even reported. They've been working hard on this very issue. Their report is due on the 3rd of December. What's the rush? Why can't we wait until that report's finished so we look at the recommendations? We all could look at the recommendations. The report is due on the 3rd of December. The government's decision to rush debate now before the committee has finished its work is a disgrace. It's another example of this government's contempt for parliamentary process.
Oh, sorry, it's not a division, it's quorum. And Member for Durack, please continue.
Thank you. So much for transparency, Madam Deputy Speaker, so much for transparency. But what is Labor scared of? I mean, this is what you've got to ask yourself. Labor came to power promising integrity. They spoke of sunlight as the best disinfectant. Yet under this government, we've seen non-disclosure agreements, secret costings, hidden estimates manuals, and now legislation designed to make it harder for Australians to see what their government is doing. Now, I've been in government. I was in government for 10 years. We don't always like the scrutiny, but it's important. It's important for our democracy. This bill damages public trust. It tells citizens that the government doesn't trust them with the truth. And when people can't access information, they can't form an informed opinion. And that strikes at the heart of our democracy. Freedom of information is not a privilege granted by government. It is a right owed to every Australian citizen. And when you limit what citizens can know, you limit what they can decide. The Coalition stands for open government, a free press and the people's right to know. We will engage constructively with the Senate inquiry and consider amendments that are genuinely there to protect transparency, including removing the most restrictive provisions in Schedules 2, 3, 6, 7 and 8. But make no mistake, as it stands now, this bill is indefensible. It ignores the expert advice of the 2023 Senate inquiry. It expands secrecy, delays access, discourages application and imposes new costs on citizens. It turns a system built for accountability into a fortress for concealment. So you have to ask yourself, what is Labor so scared of? What is the bureaucracy so scared of? Labor says this bill will modernise the Freedom of Information framework, while in truth it will take Australia backwards. Back in the days when government decisions were made behind closed doors and the public was told only what it was allowed to know. Democracy dies in the darkness, and this bill is darkness by design. The Coalition will oppose the Freedom of Information Amendment Bill 2025 because transparency should not depend on convenience. The truth should never come with a price tag. I thank the House.